Okay, and welcome to day 2, 7th grade math. Now, some of this might be a little bit review. Remember, some of these concepts you learn in earlier grades, but I'm kind of reteaching it so that we can move on to higher levels of the concept. So if you already know about negative numbers and negative integers and positive integers and how to add and subtract them, that's great, but we are going to build on that and move on. So don't get frustrated if we're starting with a little bit of review, because we always want to activate prior knowledge, make sure we're all on the same page, and then move forward together. So that's what we're going to be doing. Today, we're going to be looking at absolute value. All right. And absolute, oh, wrong one. There we go. Absolute value. Now, absolute value is very simple. Now, we have a number line here, okay? Let's count over to 6, just like they do right here, okay? What's the value of this number? Okay, it's worth, what's it worth? It's worth 6 of whatever it is. 6 puppies, $6, 6 ice cream cones, whatever it is, it's worth 6. Now, let's go backwards. That's negative 6. So that's the absence of 6, something. But what's the value of that? Let's say if you owe $6, the absolute value of what you owe is still $6. So it's how far a number is from 0. That's its absolute value, okay? Now, when are we going to use this? You're going to be using it a lot today. So we all have to make sure that we know what the value of something is. Even if it's negative, it still has an absolute value of the positive. All right? Absolute value is always, say it with me, positive. All right? So 6 is 6 away from 0. Negative 6 is also 6 away from 0. So it is 6. Now, if you look at these examples, 3 is 3, 0 is 0. That's kind of cheating. 0 doesn't have a value. No matter what it is, if it's positive or negative, its absolute value is always going to be positive. You just remember that, you got it, okay? It's just how many spaces away from 0 it is. That's its absolute value. So no negatives, don't be negative, no negativity here, all right? The absolute value symbol. All right, so in order to show the absolute value of something, we put these kind of marks, and you're going to see it right here on that side. All right. So whether it's negative again or positive, the absolute value is always going to be positive. All right. Now they say try it for yourself, and we can do this. 8 minus 3. Now that's like putting an equal sign there. That's saying what is the absolute value of 8 minus 3? Or you could rewrite this as 8 plus minus 3, negative 3. Okay. Because we are going to be doing that in a little bit. We're going to be adding negative numbers. So when you add a negative number, it's the same as subtracting it. You end up with 5. 3 minus 8, or we could do 3 plus negative 8. And let's look at that up here. We got 3 right here. Okay. So let's just count down the number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the answer should be negative 5. Let's see if it is. Well, it is negative 5, but then guess what? If it's looking for the absolute value of that, it's going to be 5. So let me say that again. If it has these signs on it, the absolute value signs, and if this even becomes a negative number, its absolute value is going to be positive. Okay? But only if those signs are there. If not, you just do it the normal way that you've already known how to do it. You either add a negative number, or you just subtract. All right. So more examples. We're going to find more examples here on how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers, and this is what we're going to be doing today. Because first, you're going to start out with absolute value of integers. I want you to work through all of these. You've got this video. You're going to have some practice. You're going to be reading after the video. So let's get to the reading portion. Okay. And then you're going to have practice on finding absolute values. another video comparing absolute values and more practice. So after that, you're going to move on to adding negative numbers on the number line. That might sound a little bit confusing, adding negative numbers. How do you do that? Well, here we go. How to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. Now we see how the number line works. Away from 0, the value goes the opposite direction. Okay, so the further away you get from 0, the higher the negative numbers get, and the further away you go from 0 on this side, the bigger the positive numbers get. Okay, so it goes both ways like that. So if a number has no sign, and always remember that, it's positive. So if I just say number 5, that's positive 5. You don't have to say positive 5 every time, but you probably do want to say negative 5. All right, so just the number by itself is positive. That's how it works. They want to use this picture to show you kind of how negative and positive work. So let's say we got weights on the bottom and we got balloons on the top filled with helium. All right, so helium makes the basket go up and these weights make it go down. And it really depends on which one has more value, I guess, you know. You've got 3 up here and you've got negative 2. What does that even out to? So adding a positive number, okay, you got positive 3 plus negative 2. You know, what would that, let's look. Positive 3 plus negative 2, 1, 2 would be 1, right? When you think about it, it's just 3 minus 2, all right? Adding a positive number to this. Now, you get more value here. You can add balloons, and you know whatever's making it go up is adding positive value. So if it gets more positive value, it goes further up. So 2 plus 3 equals 5 is really saying positive 2 plus positive 5 equals positive 5. So the way you're used to doing it is this. They want you to kind of, we all want you to think of it as this. Adding positive numbers, coming to a positive solution. All right? Now subtracting a positive number. What does that mean? Look at this. The 6 is positive, the 3 is positive, but you're not adding them. You know, this is a basic subtraction problem. 6 minus 3, and we know that equals 3 because even though we don't have to think of the number line, 1, minus 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, and that's how that works when you're subtracting positive numbers. All right. Now let's talk about adding negative numbers. Now we got the same. We had 6 minus 3 equals 3. Let's say you add a weight. All right. So you add a weight. So you've got 6 total, and 3 would be the negative. So you've got 6 total plus negative 3, and you know on the number line, adding a negative is the exact same thing as subtracting a positive. I'm sorry if that's too much information, but let's look at it. 6 minus positive 3, 1, 2, 3 is 3, but you're subtracting a positive. Now, when you have a negative number, you're adding it, all right? So if you add negative 3 to positive 6, you get the same answer. 1, negative 2, negative 3. Adding a negative does the exact same thing as subtracting a positive. So let's go. So you see that comes out to 3, and the way it's written out is positive 6 plus negative 3 equals positive 3. So they have the same result. So subtracting a negative number. Now, this might be a little confusing. So let's look at it for a second. The concept of subtracting a negative is a little complicated, so I wanted to make sure we had a good visual to go on so you know exactly what we're thinking about when we're subtracting a negative and how that works out to adding. Well, let's think about it. 8 plus 6, these are both positives, so both of these guys are walking in the same direction. See that? They're both faced in the same direction, and they're walking in the same direction. These are both positives. These are both positives too. So 8 minus 6. Now you walk 8 steps, but then you turn around. This guy is walking forward 6. Okay, that's subtracting a positive. These guys are both positive. Two positive guys, all right? These two guys look like positive guys. Now this guy, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Michael Jackson, but he did something called the moonwalk, where his dance was sort of walking, sort of sliding backwards, and that's kind of what we're looking at right here when we're representing a negative. So adding, let's start over here where adding a negative, okay, it's addition, so this is still the positive guy, but this is the negative guy, so he's walking backwards, all right? That's what negative means. It means it's going backwards. It's never going forwards like the positives are when we're thinking about the number line. Now here's where we get to how subtracting a negative equals a positive, because he's still walking backwards, but since the positive is subtracting the negative, he actually ends up going the same direction as these two guys. So it's almost like these two are the same, except this guy's walking backwards and this guy's walking forward. All right, and if you think about it in another way, let's say you owe me $3 because I bought you a Starbucks. That's pretty cheap Starbucks, but let's say you owe me $3. If I subtract your debt, because right now you're negative $3 to me, if I say don't worry about it, it's on me, I just subtracted your debt and you just gained $3. So that becomes addition. So subtracting a negative equals addition. All right, so let's go back to where we were, and I'm going to show you. Subtracting a negative number, so 6 minus negative 3. So you've got positive 6, so that would be 6 on the number line. But then you've got the backwards guy, the guy who walks backwards, okay, doing negative 3. But you're subtracting negative 3. So a negative, two negatives make a positive. Remember, he's walking backwards, but he is negative, so he's walking the opposite way as a positive subtraction. Okay? So we got 6. If you were minusing a positive number, that positive would be walking that way, forward. If you're subtracting a negative number, that negative number is going to walk backwards this way, and you're going to end up with 9. Let's see. Let's make sure that's right. Yes, it turns into 6 plus 3, 9. So if you ever see this, a positive number minus a negative number, just take that out and replace it with addition, and that's what you're going to get. I tried to explain it. If you have any trouble with that, get in touch with me. I'll try to explain it better and make sure you understand it. All right? So adding a positive is addition. Subtracting a positive or adding a negative is subtraction, right? So 3 plus negative 5 or 3 minus 5, same thing. So, example, what is 6, positive 6 minus positive 3? Well, that just turns into, because they're both positives, right? You can just replace that with 6 minus 3, and that comes out to 3. Because remember, everything that isn't a negative is a positive. What is 5 plus negative 7? Again, that's just going to turn into 5 minus 7, and that becomes negative 2. So go ahead and go over to Khan Academy, watch their videos. Maybe the way he explains it will help you out with it equally or a little more. We'll see. And when you are done with that, go on to the next lesson of adding and subtracting integers. I'll have a link to it, and just keep going on with that. All right, that will be the math. Here we go. And that'll start here. So that'll be the math for today. Those 3 lessons, try to take about a half hour each on them, and we'll go from there. All right. If you have any trouble with it, reach out to me. We will make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all understanding this going forward. All right? Okay, talk to you later.